Hi there. Welcome to Easy English with PJ. I'm PJ, and it's wonderful to have you here with us.
And I'm Logan. We're excited you've decided to tune in today. In this episode, we're diving into a topic that comes up constantly in our comment section, which is using English in your job.
Right. For so many learners, the workplace is where English suddenly becomes very real. It's not just textbook exercises anymore. It's actual communication that affects your career.
Absolutely. And the interesting thing is, workplace English doesn't have to be complicated. Most of what you need involves practical phrases and clear communication strategies.
Whether you're responding to colleagues, participating in team discussions, or just trying to understand what's expected of you, there are patterns you can learn that make everything smoother.
We're going to break down several common workplace scenarios today and give you language tools you can actually use.
And we'll make sure to explain why certain expressions work better than others. So you're not just memorizing, you're understanding.
Before we dive in, though, a quick request. If you're enjoying what we do here, hitting that subscribe button really supports the channel and helps us reach more English learners like you.
And if today's episode turns out to be useful, let us know with a like. It helps us understand what content you value most.
Also, we genuinely read your comments. If there's a workplace situation you're struggling with, or a topic you'd like us to explore, drop it in the comments section below.
Your feedback shapes what we create, so don't hesitate to share your thoughts.
All right then, let's get into it and take some of the stress out of workplace English.
So, Logan, let's start with something almost everyone deals with, which is professional correspondence through email. What do you think is the biggest challenge for English learners when they're composing work emails?
I'd say the main struggle is finding the right balance. You want to sound professional, but not stiff, friendly, but not overly casual, and you need to get your point across without writing a novel.
Exactly. Email tone is tricky because you don't have body language or voice tone to help convey your meaning. Every word choice matters more.
Let's talk about politeness first. There's a huge difference between, give me the sales figures, and, would you mind sending me the sales figures when you have a chance?
That second version shows respect for the other person's time and workload. It's still direct, but it doesn't sound demanding.
You can also soften requests with phrases like, if possible, or, when it's convenient for you. These small additions change the whole feeling of the message.
Now, what about the opening? How should someone begin an email to a colleague or manager?
If you're on friendly terms with someone, hi, plus their first name works perfectly. Hi, Sarah, for instance. For more formal situations, especially with someone senior or outside your immediate team, dear is safer.
And if you're addressing multiple people at once,
Hello all, hi team, or good morning everyone, are all solid choices depending on your company culture.
good. Now let's talk about the actual body of the email. What's the most important principle there?
Get to the point quickly. Don't bury your main message in the third paragraph. Lead with why you're writing.
For example, instead of starting with background information, you might open with, I'm writing to request an extension on the quarterly report deadline.
Exactly. Then you can follow up with your explanation or additional details.
Structure matters too. If you have multiple points to make, breaking them into numbered items or separating them with line breaks helps the reader process information more easily.
Definitely. Wall of text emails get skimmed or ignored. White space is your friend.
What about closing the email? Any particular phrases you recommend?
Thanks in advance works well if you're asking for something. Looking forward to your response is good for emails where you need feedback or an answer.
And for the actual sign-off, the last line before your name, what are the standards?
Best regards is the workhorse. It fits almost any situation. Kind regards is slightly warmer. Thanks or thank you works if you've asked for help.
If you work closely with someone and email them regularly, you can also just use best or even just your name. But when in doubt, more formal is safer.
One more thing, attachments. If you're including files, always mention them explicitly in the email body.
Right. Something like, I've attached the budget proposal for your review, or please see the attached presentation slides.
Because people might miss attachments otherwise, and then you end up with a whole back and forth that could have been avoided.
So, to summarize email writing, be clear about your purpose, use polite language, organize your thoughts logically, and don't forget to mention any files you're sending.
Master these basics, and your professional emails will make a good impression.
Now, let's shift to something else that many people find challenging, which is participating actively in workplace meetings. Logan, what makes meetings particularly difficult for English learners?
Speed is a big factor. In meetings, people sometimes talk quickly, interrupt each other, or use informal expressions. It can be hard to follow along, let alone contribute.
Right. And there's also the fear of saying something wrong in front of a group, which can make people reluctant to speak up at all.
But staying silent isn't always the best strategy, especially if you have valuable input. So let's talk about phrases that can help you enter the conversation confidently.
Let's say you want to share your perspective on something being discussed. What are some good opening phrases?
From where I stand is one option. The way I see it is another. Or simply, I believe, or in my opinion.
These signal that you're offering a viewpoint, not stating an absolute fact. It keeps the tone collaborative.
Now, what if someone says something you strongly agree with?
You could say, "That's exactly right," or "I'm completely on board with that." If you want to be a bit more formal, "I share that view" works well.
And disagreeing? That's where people get nervous. How do you push back without creating tension?
The key is acknowledging the other person's idea first, before presenting an alternative. For example, "I see where you're coming from, but have we considered?" Or, "That's an interesting point, though I wonder if."
Starting with acknowledgement shows respect even when you disagree. It keeps the discussion productive rather than defensive.
What about those moments when the conversation is moving too fast and you've lost the thread?
It's absolutely acceptable to say, "Could someone recap the last point?" Or, "I want to make sure I'm following. Are we saying that?"
And if there's a term or acronym you don't understand, asking, "What does that stand for?" or "Can someone clarify what that means?" is perfectly professional.
Nobody expects you to know every term, especially if you're new to the team or the industry.
What if you want to build on what someone else has said?
To add to that, or picking up on what was just mentioned, are great transitions. They show you're listening and connecting ideas.
Now, sometimes you might need to interrupt carefully. How do you do that politely?
"Sorry to interrupt, but," or "Can I jump in quickly?" signals that you have something urgent or relevant to add.
Use interruptions sparingly, though. If you do it too often, it can seem disrespectful.
Another helpful strategy is paying attention to the meeting's formality level. Some meetings are structured with an agenda and turn-taking. Others are free-flowing discussions.
Adjusting your language and participation style to match the room makes you seem more attuned to workplace norms.
And here's a practical tip. Taking notes during meetings isn't just good for memory. It also gives you something to refer back to if you want to contribute later.
You can say, "Going back to what was mentioned earlier about," and then make your point. It shows you're engaged.
Whether you're leading a meeting or participating in one, the goal is the same: clear communication that respects everyone's input.
And the more meetings you attend, the more natural this language will become.
All right, let's move on to something that's often part of modern teamwork, which is giving quick status updates, especially in agile environments like daily stand-up meetings. PJ, what's the format of these typically?
Stand-ups are usually short, sometimes just 15 minutes for a whole team. Everyone takes turns sharing a quick update, usually covering 3 things: what they've finished, what they're working on now, and any obstacles in their way.
The language used tends to be direct and efficient. You're not giving lengthy explanations, just the essential information.
For reporting completed work, you use past tense. Examples include, I finished reviewing the analytics dashboard, or I resolved the API connection issue.
Short and clear. Then, for current or upcoming tasks, you switch to present continuous or future forms.
Right. I'm currently working on the client presentation, or I'll be testing the checkout process this afternoon.
And for blockers, the third part, you explain what's preventing progress. For instance, I'm blocked because I'm waiting for design approval, or I can't proceed until the database migration is complete.
The key is being specific without over-explaining. If something needs deeper discussion, you save that for after the stand-up.
Sometimes you'll deliver these updates in writing instead, like in a Slack channel or a project management tool.
The content stays the same, but written updates tend to be slightly more formal and complete. Instead of fixed login thing, you'd write resolved the issue preventing users from logging in on mobile devices.
Being precise in written updates prevents misunderstandings and keeps everyone aligned.
And when you complete a task, how should you announce it?
You might say, the task is complete, or I've wrapped up the inventory audit. If there's a next step, mention it. I've finished the wireframes and passed them to the design team.
This keeps workflows moving smoothly because people know when they can pick up the next piece.
Status updates might seem routine, but doing them well shows professionalism and keeps projects on track.
So far, we've covered emails, meetings, and quick updates. Now let's talk about something more personal, which is one-on-one conversations with your manager. These are often used for performance reviews, goal setting, or addressing concerns. Logan, what kind of language is useful in these situations?
One-on-ones are more in-depth than regular meetings, so the language tends to be thoughtful and reflective. You're not just reporting facts, you're having a real conversation about your work.
When discussing your accomplishments, it helps to be specific. Instead of just saying, I did well, explain what you achieved and why it mattered.
For example, I successfully led the product launch, and we exceeded our initial sign-up goals by 20%. That gives your manager concrete information.
And if you're proud of how you handled a challenge, share that. I managed to resolve a conflict between departments by facilitating a meeting where both sides could voice concerns.
What about discussing difficulties? How should someone frame challenges they're facing?
Be honest, but solution-focused. Instead of just complaining, explain the issue and what you've tried. For instance, I've been struggling with prioritizing tasks when multiple deadlines overlap. I started using a task management system, but I'd appreciate any additional strategies you recommend.
That shows initiative and a willingness to improve, which managers appreciate.
These meetings are also opportunities to ask for guidance. Phrases like, I'd value your perspective on, or could you advise me on the best approach for? Invite collaboration.
Managers expect these questions. It's part of their role to support your development.
Another important element is discussing career growth. If you want to develop new skills or take on more responsibility, this is the place to mention it.
You might say, I'm interested in expanding my skills in data analysis, or I'd like to explore opportunities to lead smaller projects.
This shows ambition and helps your manager understand your long-term goals so they can support you.
Listening carefully is just as crucial as speaking. When your manager gives feedback, really absorb it. If something isn't clear, ask follow-up questions.
Can you give me an example of what you mean? Or how would you suggest I approach that differently next time? Are both good.
And preparation makes a huge difference. Before the meeting, jot down key points you want to discuss so you don't forget anything important.
Being prepared shows you take the conversation seriously and helps you stay focused.
One-on-ones are valuable moments for honest dialogue. Use them wisely.
Now let's look at another essential aspect of professional life, which is understanding and working with written reports. Reports often contain data, analysis, and specialized terminology. Logan, what strategies help English learners tackle these documents?
Reports can feel intimidating, especially technical or financial ones, but there are ways to approach them systematically.
First, familiarize yourself with common vocabulary in your field. If you work in marketing, learn terms like conversion rate, ROI, and engagement metrics. If you're in logistics, know supply chain, inventory turnover, and lead time.
Many online resources offer glossaries for specific industries. Building that vocabulary foundation makes reports much easier to navigate.
When you encounter something confusing, don't guess. Ask a colleague or your supervisor for clarification.
Exactly. Assumptions can lead to errors, especially when decisions are based on report data.
Here's a useful reading strategy. Start with the executive summary or conclusion section. Most reports include a high-level overview that captures the main findings.
This gives you the big picture before you dive into details. You'll know what to focus on as you read further.
Also, pay close attention to visual elements like charts, graphs, and tables. These often communicate trends and comparisons more efficiently than paragraphs of text.
Make sure you understand axis labels, legends, and units of measurement. Misreading a chart can lead to significant misunderstandings.
If you need to discuss the report in a meeting, practice summarizing the key points in your own words beforehand.
This not only helps you internalize the information, but also makes your explanations clearer to others.
Reports frequently use abbreviations or acronyms. If you come across one you don't recognize, note it and look it up.
Sometimes the meaning is defined earlier in the document. Other times, you might need to ask or search online.
Learning these terms incrementally builds your professional vocabulary and makes future reports easier.
Over time, reading reports becomes less daunting. You'll start recognizing patterns and familiar structures.
And that familiarity boosts your confidence and effectiveness at work.
We've covered a lot of formal communication so far, but workplace English isn't all business. Let's talk about the informal side, which is building relationships through casual conversation. PJ, why is this important?
Because work isn't just about tasks. It's also about people. Building friendly relationships with colleagues makes the environment more pleasant and can even help with collaboration.
And the English used in these moments is usually relaxed and conversational, which is actually easier for many learners once they get comfortable with it.
Simple greetings and small talk are where these interactions usually begin. For example, "How's it going?" or "How's your week been?" are common conversation starters.
You can respond with something brief like, "Pretty good, thanks. Been busy but productive," or "Not bad. Looking forward to the weekend."
If someone asks about your weekend or time off, you don't need to give a detailed itinerary. A general answer works. "It was relaxing, I spent time with family," or "I caught up on some reading."
And showing interest in others builds rapport. Asking, "What are you working on these days?" or "How's that big project coming along?" shows you care.
When talking about your own work casually, you might say, "I'm in the middle of something pretty complex right now," or "Just finished a major deadline. Feels good to have it done."
What about making plans outside of work? How do you extend invitations in English?
You could say, "Want to grab lunch sometime this week?" Or, "Are you interested in getting coffee after work?"
For group activities, you might say, "A few of us are planning to go out Friday evening. you're welcome to join.
And if you need to decline an invitation, you can do so politely. I appreciate the invite, but I've got other plans. Or, I can't this time, but let's do it another day.
Politeness in social invitations, whether accepting or declining, maintains good relationships.
At the end of the workday, there are plenty of simple farewells. See you tomorrow. Have a nice evening. Or on Fridays. Enjoy your weekend.
If someone seems tired, you might add, get some rest tonight, or take care of yourself.
These small gestures show empathy and build trust over time.
Social English at work doesn't require complex grammar or vocabulary. It's about showing genuine interest and kindness.
And that's something anyone can practice, regardless of their English level.
So, PJ, we've covered quite a bit today. Professional emails, participating in meetings, giving status updates, one-on-one conversations with managers, understanding reports, and building social connections at work.
Right. And the thread connecting all of these is clear, respectful communication. Whether you're writing, speaking, or listening, those principles apply.
One thing we want to emphasize is that you don't need perfect English to succeed at work. What you need is functional communication and the confidence to use it.
Mistakes will happen. Everyone makes them, even native speakers. What matters is that you keep practicing and improving.
And the workplace is actually a great environment for learning because you get real, immediate feedback on whether your communication is working.
If someone doesn't understand your email, they'll ask for clarification. If you're unclear in a meeting, a colleague might rephrase the question. These are learning opportunities.
Exactly. So don't be afraid to engage, even when you're uncertain. The more you use English in real situations, the more natural it becomes.
And remember, many of your colleagues may also be using English as a second or third language. You're not alone in this.
Building workplace communication skills takes time, but every conversation, every email, every meeting is practice.
We hope the phrases and strategies we shared today give you a solid starting point. Try incorporating them into your daily work and see how they feel.
And if you run into specific situations we didn't cover, let us know in the comments. We're always looking for ideas for future episodes.
That brings us to the end of today's episode of Easy English with PJ. Thank you so much for spending this time with us.
If this episode was helpful, please subscribe to the channel so you don't miss future episodes. We create practical English content for real-life situations.
And if you got value from today's discussion, give us a like. It helps other learners find this content too.
Your comments and feedback genuinely shape what we create, so don't hold back. Tell us what you need help with.
We're grateful you chose to learn with us today. Until next time, keep practicing, stay confident, and remember, your English is improving with every conversation.
Take care, everyone. We'll see you in the next episode.
Bye for now.